In the dim glow of the dojo's fluorescent lights, where the air hung heavy with the scent of sweat-soaked mats and the faint metallic tang of determination, 12 black belts encircled a lone figure like wolves closing in on a weary stag, their eyes gleaming with the predatory hunger of unchallenged egos. But then she stepped forward, the female SEAL commander, her posture a fortress of unyielding steel, her gaze slicing through the tension like a car through fog, only to freeze, her breath catching in her throat as her eyes locked onto the faded ink snaking across his forearm. A tattoo that whispered secrets of battles long buried, and in that frozen instant, the room tilted, the world inverted, and everything they thought they knew about the single dad veteran unraveling before them shattered like glass under a sledgehammer, pulling you, the viewer, right into the heart of the storm where one man's hidden scars collided with a room full of warriors who had no idea they were about to learn the true meaning of surrender, not in combat, but in the raw vulnerability of shared humanity that would leave you breathless, tears stinging your eyes, wondering if you've ever truly seen the heroes walking among us disguised as everyday fathers juggling sippy cups and midnight feedings while carrying the weight of wars no one else remembers. It was a Tuesday evening in the sleepy coastal town of Harbor's Edge, where the Pacific Ocean crashed against jagged cliffs like an old friend slapping you on the back too hard, reminding you that life here moved to the rhythm of tides rather than traffic jams, and Jack Harlan, the single dad in question, had wandered into the local martial arts academy on a whim, his 6-year-old daughter Mia's insistent pleas echoing in his ears after she'd watched some cartoon about ninjas and declared with the unshakable logic of childhood that daddy needed to learn how to kick bad guys so he could protect her from the monsters under her bed. Though Jack knew the real monsters lurked in his dreams, the ones that woke him at 3 a.m. with the crack of gunfire and the screams of brothers lost in the sand-swept hellholes of Afghanistan, but he pushed those shadows aside as he always did, lacing up his worn sneakers and stepping through the sliding glass doors of the dojo, the bell tinkling like a hesitant invitation to a dance he wasn't sure he wanted to attend. Jack was 42, broad-shouldered and weathered like driftwood sculpted by relentless waves, his dark hair streaked with premature silver from nights spent staring at ceilings instead of sleeping, his green eyes holding the quiet depth of someone who'd seen too much and said too little, a former Army Ranger who'd traded his ruck for a diaper bag after his wife, Sarah, had been stolen away by a drunk driver on a rain-slicked highway 3 years prior, leaving him to navigate the chaos of parenthood alone, balancing PTA meetings with PTSD therapy sessions, grocery runs with grief that hit like a sucker punch when he caught a whiff of her favorite lavender shampoo on Mia's tiny curls. The dojo, called Iron Wave Dojo, was a sanctuary for the town's elite, surfers turned senseis, tech bros seeking enlightenment between board meetings, and a cadre of black belts who treated sparring sessions like gladiatorial trials, their gis crisp and their egos even crisper, led unofficially by Elena Vasquez, the female SEAL commander who'd retired from the Navy's shadowy corridors of special operations to this quieter shore, her reputation preceding her like a thunderclap, whispers of her leading raids in hostile territories, her voice the steady anchor in the chaos of extractions gone sideways, her body a testament to discipline forged in Bud's hell weeks and deployments that blurred the line between hero and haunted. Elena was 38, her frame compact and lethal, muscles corded like steel cables under sun-kissed skin, her black hair pulled into a severe ponytail that matched the sharpness of her hazel eyes that missed nothing, dissected everything, from the flicker of hesitation in a recruit's stance to the micro-expressions of an enemy combatant about to crack. But tonight, as she surveyed her domain from the raised tatami platform, clipboard in hand for the weekly open spar, her mind was elsewhere, tangled in the fresh divorce papers her lawyer had couriered that morning, the ink still wet on the end of a marriage that had crumbled under the strain of her absences and his resentments, leaving her adrift in a sea of what-ifs, wondering if the sacrifices she'd made for flag and country had cost her the family she'd fought so hard to deserve. The 12 black belts, men and women in their 20s and 30s, their belts knotted with the arrogance of recent Dan ranks, lounged against the walls, stretching hamstrings and swapping stories of tournaments won and egos bruised, their laughter a low rumble that masked the undercurrent of competition, each one itching for a chance to prove their mettle against fresh meat. And when Jack walked in, his faded jeans and Iron Wave t-shirt hanging loose on his frame, his calloused hands betraying a life of manual labor at the local boatyard where he welded hulls by day to keep the lights on for Mia's Lego empire, they smelled opportunity, a lamb wandering into the den, unmarked by the dojo's rituals, his posture relaxed yet coiled, like a spring wound too tight from years of vigilance. New guy. One of them, a lanky kickboxer named Trent with a sleeve of tribal tattoos that screamed midlife crisis, called out, his voice dripping with that faux-friendly condescension that masked the thrill of the hunt, and the group chuckled, a chorus of hyenas scenting blood, as Jack nodded, his smile polite but distant, the kind of smile that said he'd faced worse than playground taunts in foxholes under mortar fire. Elena, ever the orchestrator, stepped down from her perch, her bare feet silent on the mats, her presence commanding silence like a general entering the briefing tent, and she sized him up in a glance, the slight hitch in his left shoulder from an old rotator cuff tear, the way his weight shifted to his strong leg, favoring the right knee scarred by shrapnel, details that screamed military without the bluster, and something in her softened, a flicker of recognition in the shared language of the broken, though she buried it quick, professionalism her armor as she extended a hand, her grip firm, calluses mirroring his. Elena Vasquez. Welcome to Iron Wave. First time sparring? She asked, her voice a blend of gravel and silk, honed by years of barking orders over rotor wash, and Jack shook her hand, feeling the electric jolt of two warriors brushing souls, though neither acknowledged it, his response a simple, yeah, just here for my kid. She thinks I need to learn some moves, and the group erupted in good-natured ribbing, Trent leading the charge with, oh, we've got moves that'll make you see stars, Pops, his eyes gleaming with the promise of a takedown that would cement his alpha status among the pack. As the warm-ups began, jumping jacks that echoed like distant thunder, shadowboxing that painted the air with invisible foes, Jack fell into rhythm, his body remembering the drills of Ranger School, the muscle memory overriding the rust of civilian life, his punches snapping crisp, his footwork fluid despite the knee, and the black belts noticed, whispers turning to sidelong glances, Trent muttering to his buddy Kai, a stocky judoka with a busket and a chip on his shoulder from a recent loss at Nationals, Guy moves like he's done this before. Bet he's all show. Elena watched too, her clipboard forgotten, her SEAL instincts pinging alerts. This wasn't some weekend warrior, this was a man who'd danced with death and lead, the subtle efficiencies in his guard, the economy of motion that spoke of life or death stakes rather than point sparring pads, and she felt a pull, a curiosity laced with caution, wondering what ghosts drove him to this voluntary crucible. The class progressed to partner drills, pairs rotating through grapples and strikes, the mats thumping with controlled violence, grunts punctuating the air like Morse code for exertion, and Jack was paired first with a wiry woman named Lena, a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu whose legs were vices honed on competition GIS, her reputation for submissions legendary among the group, and she grinned wolfishly as they circled, don't hold back, newbie. I won't, her challenge a velvet glove over iron knuckles. Jack nodded, his stance settling low, eyes locking on hers with the steady focus of a sniper acquiring target, and when she lunged for a double-leg takedown, explosive and textbook, he didn't meet her force with force but redirected, his hip twisting in a seamless Aikido flow he didn't even know he'd absorbed from watching Mia's cartoons, spilling her momentum harmlessly to the mat, her eyes widening in surprise as she rolled to her feet, dusting off with a laugh that held respect now, okay, not bad for a dad bod.